What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Next Step Podcast. I'm here with Dusty, my good friend, and today we thought, we've talked about business, we've talked about fitness. Why don't we mix it up and talk about
something that's really going to piss people off?
Politics stuff. All right, hold on there. Hold on. Don't turn it off yet. We're not going to actually talk about Donald Trump and Joe Biden and all these guys. Okay, we're going to talk about our thoughts on consuming the news, politics, and why we consume it the way we do. And the reason I think this is an important topic is because, look, consciously and subconsciously, every day we've got stuff coming into our brain, our mind, and it does have an impact on us, right? And for the most part, we do have a lot of control over what comes in to our minds. And those things affect us positively, negatively. So if you're in a place right now where you are not where you want to be, you really want to focus on the things that are going to help you get to your goals. And sometimes there's things that come in that are distractions, big old nasty looking distractions, but they are addicting. And so let's talk through that. Dust, do you have anything to add before we dive right in?
No, I just think like you said, if you're struggling, take a look at what you're consuming. And I think this will be a good discussion on how to maybe be more mindful and aware of the things, the outside sources that are impacting your life negatively.
Yeah. Okay. So Dusty, let me ask you a question. Do you watch the news?
I do not.
You don't?
I don't watch the news.
Do you watch like clips of the news?
No.
No.
I can honestly say that I haven't watched a second of a news channel such as Fox, CNN, any of that. I haven't watched even a smidge since the beginning of COVID. So March 2020 was the last time I saw anything on the news.
And talk about that a little bit. Why have you chosen not to listen to the news? Or, I don't know, are there any other outlets or media outlets that you're following that could maybe fall under the news?
Oh, yeah. I mean, any social media platform.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. Facebook, Instagram, all those things. I mean, those are our modern news outlets, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to watch the news to get the news. You can get it in other sources such as those, podcasts. But yeah, I generally I try to stay away from the news.
So you are or you aren't consuming news-worthy topics on social media, like purposefully?
Correct.
Okay,
I don't drink any of the Kool-Aid, no matter who's serving it.
Okay. Well, I do sometimes, and I don't necessarily watch the news a lot, but I watch news clips on YouTube quite a bit. And I have certain people who I follow.
Now, let me ask you,
yeah.
Do you follow those people because you tend to agree more with their views, or why do you follow these people?
It's a good question. I follow them because I do want to be informed in some way. Mm-hmm. The people who I tend to follow probably do lean a little bit closer to the side that I believe in, but I also believe that they're fair to each side and do provide, for the most part, pretty fair takes. Mm-hmm. With that being said, there are times where I get super annoyed because they're just too one-sided and it's a bunch of BS. Mm-hmm. With that being said, yes, that's my answer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I ask because most people tend to watch or listen to, somebody that is going to basically have the same views as them, right? So confirmation bias, that's really what we're all about as people. Like, we only consume or seek out what we believe to be true. So I feel like, and especially now, like it's super important to not just drink in what you believe or seek out what you believe, but look at the other side, the opposite side. So, let's say, you like to watch Fox News because those are your, they align more with your views. Maybe you should watch the CNNs or whatever, you know what I mean? Just to really get a full spectrum and kind of look on everything. We generally don't like to do that because it goes against everything we believe.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think that's really smart. And some of the people who I would consider neutral out there, I think there are definitely some great neutral sources, but what I look for are similarities on both sides, so to speak, which is kind of hard to find.
Yeah.
It's very hard, which is somewhat scary. But with that being said, I don't want to get too deep into that. I want to talk about, we're talking about this right now. Why do you choose not to consume a lot of, of politics, of news in general? What's your decision making behind that?
Personally, and again, this is just my opinion. But I see, and I'm sure you see a lot of it too on social media, Facebook, Instagram, all those. We have people that are like fighting with family and friends because their political views don't align. And it really, what I believe it comes down to is just consuming all of this news, right? Air quotes, news. And I feel like it's a little brainwashing. You know what I mean? Like it's really manipulating people. And it's making us turn on one another. And you see that, on these different social media platforms, people are arguing with each other because they don't believe in the same thing. We all need to understand that our main goals are the same as people, right? So to start hating other people and just like shunning them for not having the same views, I think that's a little crazy, a little ridiculous, and I just don't like to. I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy how people who, see each other in person can get along great, and I've seen this just working with the public, get along great, but then can go home and on social media have conflicting beliefs and absolutely attack each other with without respect, right? Or without even open ears to try and listen to the other person, which is crazy. And this is actually something I did, which I don't advise to any of our coaches here at Hybrid Fitness, but I did. It was several years ago. I had a personal training client who I was pretty close with as a friend, and I kind of had an idea of where she stood based off some things, and I never really commented on it. But one day I said, "Hey, insert their name. I voted for insert the person I voted for, complete opposite side," and I'm pretty sure she didn't like me at all for a few minutes. She was like, "Are you serious? Oh my God!" And it was like, wow, it is.
They took it as a personal attack.
Yeah, and that's just it's nuts to me. It's nuts to me.
It's absolutely crazy. And this is another reason why I choose not to consume, the news. Just because what I've seen in regards to mainstream media and their initial take on, let's just take nutrition for example, like what you see on TV, what gets thrown at you in these recommendations that you see on the Today Show or whatever it is, it's bullshit. We know that, right? When it comes down to it, like most of the recommendations you're getting on television for any or mainstream media, like there's a bunch of different influencers out there on social media, like it's all wrong information. Like they're just trying to sell you something. So what that tells me is they have an agenda. Well, okay. So they're going to do the same thing with news, right? Like, so I'm just very skeptical when it comes to believing anybody in regards to anything. I don't know if that's the right approach, but that's the approach I take. I think it saves me from being, as I put it, brainwashed, or what at least I hope.
Well, I think being skeptical is the right thing. Like
you should be.
It's very hard to trust anything nowadays, and I think that's why it's even more important if you make the decision that you are going to listen to different networks and platforms on these heated topics, that you do listen to both sides, because I think then and only then will you be able to see through the crap and then maybe find the truths, hopefully. But if you are only on one side, it's just like, you just got to be careful of that. Now, again, you're not consuming any stuff. And for a long time, I chose not to too, up until recently. And honestly, it's like my reality TV entertainment in some ways. Like that's the freaking truth for me. Like
that's really all it is.
it is entertaining.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. The news is reality TV.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. But my decision making when I didn't consume it, and this is where it's like, hey, I've got a ton of goals that I got to achieve, and I got limited the time to do them, and I want to reach my goals. And so you need to be thoughtful with your time and how you use it, and not only time. See, I think a lot of people, they think time and energy are the same thing, but you could study for something that's so hard for 1 hour, and you could have 23 hours left in the day, but you got no resources left in the noggin, right? And I think that heated arguments and all this conflict back and forth, conflict isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's exhausting. Mm-hmm. And it will limit you to do the things that you want to do. The other thing, Dusty, is whether it doesn't matter what you think, what side is right. Do you have any damn control over it? Do you have the power to change it? And if you don't, like, it's so freaking pointless to put your energy into it. Now, if you want to get involved, there's probably some ways. We're talking politics. You can make a huge impact on politics locally. You can really do that. And at a small local level, you can really make some changes that will have a real meaning to you and your community. But to get to that next level national, like it's hard to make changes even if you're a senator, even if you're a freaking president. So my argument is why, and again, I'm talking to myself, but it's a good old entertainment. But it's like, why put your energy into something that's going to get you angry, that's going to put your focus on things away from your goals, when you could be doing something that's moving your life in the right direction and creating the life that you want?
See, and that's just it. Like, you have the mindset to be able to separate it from like what it is to what people think it is. Like, it's entertainment right now. Like, they're trying to sell you on something, clearly. And another reason, when was the last time you saw anything positive on the news? Let's be honest. Everything they show is negative. They want to trigger that negative response, right? And cause stress, and which, because that's what does what? Gets views, right? Mm-hmm. Happy things don't necessarily get views. People want conflict. They fucking crave that. It's weird.
Marketing 101. People react more to fear than they do to pleasure. So, I mean, that's like one thing just from studying marketing. That's one thing you learn. And they are a hallmark example of that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I always thought you were really, really aware and of everything you consume. But then a couple of weeks ago, I started questioning that. Like, when you're like, high reps, short rest periods. But, you all joking aside, like, as long as, like, if you want to consume the news, that's great, but like, do your own research. Don't just believe what these freaking a-holes tell you all the time. Like, they're literally paid to tell you what is written for them, right? And how are they on air? They're on air because they're making money. So their initial goal is to make money. And how do they make money? Getting views.
Eyeballs.
Yes.
Ads. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much more we have on this topic. We want to touch on it because I think where you put your energy is super important. And along the way, on your next step, right, there's distractions. This can certainly be one of them.
It's huge.
And more importantly, I think there's not a time where you couldn't be more understanding of people, more forgiving, and just be kind to people. There's a lot of crap out there, and it is polarizing. And even if there is somebody who is hostile towards you, it doesn't mean you have to give that back. You can just try and come from a place of understanding and do your best. And you don't have to attack back. Don't get punched in the face, but be understanding and focus on, well, what are the things that I have control of today and that I want to have an impact on? And I think when you do that, it will give you clarity. It will get your head out of the bullshit and help you live a happier day and a happier life.
Well said. I think it is all a distraction, but if you can kind of go into it with more of an open mind, and try to learn, like, well, what can I take from this, instead of just being so closed-minded, like there's only one way, like, and that's the way I believe. And if they don't think that, then, oh boy, we're gonna start a fire. We're gonna start arguing. I've found one thing, in any approach really, is don't speak in certainties, right? Like, look for the right answer, be open to new things. And if that's viewing somebody else's, view rather on a particular subject, like, be open to it. You very well could be wrong.
Yeah, it's so hard because people who speak in certainties, it's convincing. And honestly, it's probably we want to follow people who seem to have the answers. And I'm not saying that people speak in certainties don't have the answers. I'm not saying that. But if you do hear that, just like Dusty said, be a little skeptical. Open your eyes and just try and absorb the information and see, like, hey, is this person talking out of their ass, or are they really, speaking truth? Because most things are not certainties. But when people talk in them, it's very convincing. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I've learned in general.
That's how they reel you in too.
And that's again goes back to marketing. It's like, what if there were two headlines, like, the weight loss pill that sometimes works, if you follow these 10 steps, or the best weight loss pill that you can't fail. I don't know. But, like, it almost sounds too good to be true.
Usually if it does, that means it is.
Yeah. Those aren't great examples, but just be aware of that too. And I think that will help you, make decisions for yourselves on what you believe, and keep it at that.
I would also recommend, like, try paying attention to where your attention is going. Like, if you're, scrolling through, Facebook, Instagram, or, Twitter, watching a lot of, mainstream media news outlets, like, pay attention. Like, why are you doing that? Is it grabbing your attention? Is it stressing you out when you're reading these things, or when you're seeing these things? Like, how much of your day is wasted just absorbing this information, or lack of information, I'd rather put it. And then, ask yourself, what can you do? Where else could you be putting your time to make it a more positive experience? Like, like you said, I just lost my train of thought.
That's all right.
So you were saying, I totally lost my train of thought.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. So if you've got your focus on something, and you have to be aware of, well, how is this making me feel, and what is maybe triggering me to do this specific thing? Like, am I looking for it to give me some sort of emotional pleasure or like stress relief? And then is it continuing to cause the thing that maybe drew you in, or is it actually something productive for you? I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's like, if we're talking mainstream media, you could make it analogous to food, right? If I'm eating every day at 4 p.m. and it's a pack of jelly beans, right? Not saying jelly beans are bad. Jelly beans rule. Well, what am I feeling every day? Like, what mood am I in? Am I just getting home from work? Am I tired? Did I just kick off the shoes? And like every time after I take off my shoes, take off the coat, unzip the zipper, I throw down some jelly beans. Like, maybe it's a stress relief thing, and maybe instead of jelly beans for you, it's watching a little political action or whatever. To just be aware of those triggers, and sometimes that can help you diffuse them if you know they're not productive for you.
Remember, you can't control everything. You can only control how you react, right?
Oh, yes. You're so right.
So don't let these negative experiences and news stories impact you negatively. You can control how you react to it. So yeah.
So I think that's it, guys. Look, we are the utmost experts on everything that has to do with living your happiest life and day. I mean, we are the number one source without a doubt.
I think we wrote the book.
Yeah.
Could you say that?
Well, with absolute certainty, I could say it, and conviction. So definitely listen to us in our reality, guys. We just want to give you our experiences, what's worked for us, what hasn't worked, so that you can just like maybe get a little help on the way to your best life. We just want to be here to maybe help push you in the right direction if we've already been there and made mistakes. So thank you so much for listening, guys. Dusty, where can people find us elsewhere?
We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. You can watch these videos on YouTube where we just sit at this table and banter. But yeah, you can find us at those wonderful locations.
Right on. And I got a question for you.
Oh boy.
No, it's a simple question. I don't want any more than what I ask. And all I ask is, do you consume the news, or do you not consume the news? Just drop it down in the comments. I want to see. I'm just curious what percentage. So, well, until next time, Dusty and I will be back. I think we've got something special planned for you next week. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Bye-bye.